Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, good morning. I'm Melissa Fleming, Undersecretary General for Global Communications here at the United Nations, and it is my profound honor to welcome you to this year's Peace Bell ceremony. We gather here in observance of the International Day of Peace, which is commemorated each year on the 21st of September. This day carries special resonance as it embodies the deepest aspirations of our organization and of humankind to live in a world of peace, free of violence and free of strife. And I would like to begin by thanking the young violinists from the Tarumi program and the United Nations Singers for setting the tone for this year's ceremony so beautifully. We meet today during a landmark year for the international community as we mark 80 years since the creation of the United Nations. Back then, in 1945, still reeling from the Second World War, the Holocaust, and the atomic bomb attacks in Japan, the world came together to forge a peaceful future. To, as the UN Charter says, save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. 8 decades on, that promise remains as vital as it was then. Thanks to the UN, over its history, countless conflicts were prevented and wars were ended. Peace prevailed in many places. Yet today, the world is experiencing a surge in violence not seen since the post-World War II era. Thanks to UNHCR, we've seen countless refugee populations return home. Yet today, the number of people uprooted by war is staggering. And while we've taken steps to raise arms control guardrails, today the risk of nuclear conflict is rising. This year's theme is an urgent call. It calls on us to act now for a peaceful world. Passively longing for peace is not enough. We need a global peace movement and an empowered United Nations. We need, in the Secretary General's words, a surge of diplomacy for peace. And it is now my great pleasure to welcome the Secretary General, António Guterres, as well as Her Excellency, Ms. Annalena Baerbock, President of the 80th Session of the General Assembly. I am also pleased to have the presence of His Excellency, Mr. Yamakaze Kazuyuki, Permanent Representative of Japan, and Mrs. Yamakaze Yuko. We are also honored to be joined today by Ms. Takashi Saiko, who is the founder of the Association for the Preservation of the UN Peace Bell, and Mr. Abe Shin, the designer and gardener of this beautiful Japanese garden in which we stand. Thank you to all of you for being here with us today. And I am now pleased to introduce the Secretary General, António Guterres. He will ring the peace bell after his statement.
Madam President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, dear friends. 80 years ago, the United Nations emerged from the ashes of war to pursue the cause of peace. That mission is the beating heart of our organization. But today, peace is under siege. Conflicts are multiplying. Civilians are suffering. Human rights and international law are being trampled, leaving scenes that disgrace our common humanity. This year's theme for Peace Day is Act Now for a Peaceful World, because we know that peace doesn't happen by accident. It is forged through courage, compromise, and above all, action. We must act to silence the guns and amplify diplomacy. We must act to protect civilians and uphold the UN Charter. We must act to tackle the root causes of conflict, from inequality and exclusion to hate speech and climate chaos. We must act to invest in prevention, dialogue, and trust. And we must act to support the peace builders, especially women and young people who are on the front lines of hope. Excellencies, dear friends, peace is the most powerful force for a better future, and it is within our grasp if we choose it. That is the message of Peace Day, and it is the message of this very peace bell which was cast from coins and medals donated by people across the world. Delegates, children, citizens, all united in their yearning for peace. The peace bell reminds us that even the smallest contributions can forge something enduring. Even in a fractured world, we can come together to let peace ring. Let's answer that call.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, and please join me now in welcoming the President of the 80th session of the General Assembly, Her Excellency Ms. Annalena Baerbock.
Peace, a simple word with only 5 letters. A word that people in this country, as in many others, just take for granted. Meanwhile, in other countries, it's one of the deepest longings. Peace, a principle on which the United Nations was founded, one enshrined in the Charter as our collective aspiration never again to return to the scourge of war. And yet, looking across the world, dear Secretary General, dear Deputy Secretary General, Undersecretaries, dear Excellencies, looking across the world from Gaza to Sudan, Ukraine, and beyond, we have not succeeded. Some argue if the United Nations has failed time and time again in its greatest promise of peace, is it still worth upholding the Charter? Such a view is not only cynical, it's irresponsible. Would there be less war without the United Nations? Definitely not. This is not the moment to give up. It's the moment to try even harder. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, it isn't enough to talk about peace, one must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it, one must work at it. And therefore, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this International Peace Day may be more important than ever. With this year's theme, Act Now for a Peaceful World, we affirm that we not only believe in peace, but will act to uphold it. We will work harder to bring the most vital of all things, the word with 5 letters, peace, to every corner of the globe, to Gaza, Sudan, and especially the most forgotten conflicts. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Haiti, Myanmar, and Yemen. I thank the permanent mission of Japan not only for their support in organizing this annual gathering, but also for reminding us on this day of peace that we also mark 80 years since the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And with that, we are reminded that nuclear proliferation remains an additional danger to peace and thereby to humanity, to all of us. When I visited Nagasaki, I learned from schoolgirls how the horrors of the bombings 80 years ago still linger, because they have been passed on down from generation to generations, making them, the granddaughters of the victims of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, some of the strongest advocates for peace today. And it is more than symbolic that we are joined, again, as I have learned, by the school children, the students of the Tarumi violin program, drawn from across New York's diverse communities. Those young musicians, you, all of you, carry a message of love and harmony to global audiences and have been called musical ambassadors of peace. So within this every ring of the peace bell, and also in presence of the daughter, and we have learned just a couple of minutes ago, grandson of the person who donated the bell to us, with every ring of this peace bell, let us be reminded that peace is not only a simple word out of 5 letters. It is our greatest responsibility for our children and future generations.
I thank the President of the General Assembly and everyone joining us today, both here and all of you watching us online, for this significant annual celebration that celebrates our most profound common goal, the pursuit of peace. Thank you.
That's what I want. No window, no complaint.
Song of peace for lands of
Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very honored.
Everything's fine?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cautiously, cautiously.
Both of you gave very robust. It wasn't. It was good. We needed a real. No. Oh, it was perfect. Yeah. Very strong.
Sort of like signals the beginning of our week, really. After the prayer, there's the peace now.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is what tells you. It helps
The
you.
show must go on.
Yes, it must, and we must try to look for peace.